Okay, are we back?
Are we live?
Did I do it? Am I? Let's see here. It should be showing up here shortly, maybe? Yep, I think we're back live. All right, double checking the
All right.
volume.
Man, well, let's get back into it, man, because I think we had some good points. Can definitely maybe make them a little bit, I guess, more concise. But what we started talking about before everything cut out was, of course, the Damar Hamlin situation,
Yes.
um, and just kind of our thoughts on it. So,
Yeah.
um, I guess first and foremost, we did say thoughts and prayers to Damar. People, if you're just joining in, uh, welcome. We started streaming about at around 8, and around 8:30 we realized that it stopped streaming
It
on
had
us.
cut
So
off.
OB,
It's
the
like we had just
OBS.
covered the next two bullet
Yeah, we had
points
some
and
good
then it's
conversation.
gone.
Yeah, it was a good
Oh
conversation
man.
too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
as the world, like the rest of the NFL
the show must
family,
go on.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And we had started off the conversation talking about the
Yes.
Damar Hamlin situation, just our thoughts on it. At the time of this recording, he is making some major improvements. They had the press conference today with the doctors who said that he is showing signs of basic neurological functions. He was able to grip his family's hands, communicate via writing. With his family and the doctors, not speaking yet, just still because the tube is still in the system. Once they're able to safely remove that, they will upgrade him from critical to stable.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, he's making major improvements. And if you live under a rock and didn't know, I'll let Billy kind of cover what actually happened to this young man.
Yeah, so during the game, first quarter there, I think it was Higgins, or sorry, not Higgins, Damar Hamlin goes in for a tackle on T. Higgins, who had just received the ball, got hit. First, it didn't seem too bad of an injury, typical football hit. Hamlin goes to stand up and then collapses. Nobody's sure exactly at that point in time what had occurred. Everyone's thoughts, of course, it's the NFL. We're playing games. Probably, head injury, right? That head or neck, because that's what happens when you get hit in the head or in the neck. You collapse on the field. It was quickly shown that that probably wasn't the case when more medical staff had to rush out there, and then we shortly after that learned that CPR was being administered to Hamlin because he had gone into cardiac arrest. The type of injury that he has suffered has not been confirmed. It's a injury that is relatively common in all forms of sports, specifically contact sports. We hear about it mostly in high school athletes, where unfortunately they're not surrounded by the type of professionals that are on the NFL field or any other kind of professional sports field, and unfortunately, they does typically result in either the athlete passing away or having some kind of life-altering consequences from it. So Hamlin, very fortunately, though, had incredibly well-trained medical staff on hand in order to assist him. Not just either team's, head athletic trainer, own team doctors, everything like that, but as we were talking about um, during our period off air, is that every NFL stadium is actually required to have a breathing specialist on the field, typically a anesthesiologist or an ER physician who can do placement of a breathing tube, which intubation, which is a high skill necessity for somebody to have for these exact kind of cases where an individual goes into cardiac arrest or has some kind of breathing issues, whatever may be happening. So fortunately, per NFL rules, there is an individual on the field who is able to administer that. They did about 30 minutes of CPR and utilization of the AED, the automatic defibrillator, in order to get his heart restarted. And then, of course, he was taken from the field to the hospital where he has been in Cincinnati ever since, going through recovery.
Yeah, I think you summed it up very well, and definitely like you were saying, just the skill and the knowledge of the first responders on the scene, like absolutely, like shout out to them. They acted fast, they acted effectively. As far as like the our thoughts on the NFL itself and how quickly they reacted.
Mm-hmm.
When we spoke, I think we both kind of differ a little bit. Um, Now there's been kind of criticism on them, since the game,
Mm-hmm.
which to take you guys back to the game, it's Monday Night Football. Arguably the biggest game of the year. It was probably going to be between this and I think Eagles Cowboys on Christmas Eve before Jalen Hurts injury was probably the other biggest game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but definitely this one where you got the Bengals, the Bills, Monday Night Football. Both teams are red hot right now. Seeding the outcome of this game affects seeding across the entire AFC, including your Kansas City Chiefs. So we were all tapped in, we were all tuned in, and because of the stakes, I agree with you. There was probably some hesitation with canceling the game outright. But I also think that some of it probably just had to do with uncertainty of the situation itself.
Yeah.
Like we had never seen this before. We see guys go down all the time. The NFL is a dangerous game. The players know that. You see a guy go down, you think he's got a concussion, you think he's got a neck injury, you think he's got a broken leg or something. You
And
never think it's like a
yeah.
heart thing. And
Right.
yeah, go ahead.
No, it's a lot of the times even when people are being stretchered off the field or put in an ambulance and taken off the field, they're still responsive of some kind. The everything everyone always does is raise the hand up with a thumbs up, and that's what we always see. So it's like, okay, this person's hurt. They're definitely not going to be playing anymore today. Yeah, they're getting stretchered off, but we saw that thumbs up. So we know they're okay.
Absolutely.
So
Right.
it's
Right.
kind of hard to then fit into that mold that we've built around this. The concept that Hamlin was not all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Um and yeah, they could have acted faster. I do agree with you.
Hmm.
I think ultimately the decision, and rightfully so, came down to the players
Hmm.
and the staff. And then once they made the decision, hey, we're not playing, and kind of listening to the Bills players today in their press conference, uh, they knew they're like, yo, no, there's no way we could have gone back out there. Like Mitch Morris, Josh Allen spoke today. Those guys were just kind of talking about like just kind of firsthand experience with the situation, and they knew something was wrong.
Hmm.
More than the normal typical sports football injury, So,
Yeah.
um,
I,
yeah, it sounds like everyone involved, they made the right call ultimately. How fast it took there may be a little bit of a debate on that, but ultimately they did make the right call.
yes.
And I'm proud of the people involved in the organization. On everyone who had a hand in making that decision. I'm proud of them for doing that.
And I mean, definitely a shout out to the coaches for both the Bengals and the Bills. Sean McDermott and then what's his name, Zach Taylor, I think,
Yeah,
for the Bengals, realizing that. Even though the NFL was asking them to get the game restarted, 5 minutes to warm up and get out there, both of those guys just said no. Yeah, they talked
yeah,
briefly on the field. Zach Taylor approached Sean. It wasn't even a case where Sean McDermott had to go over to Taylor. Taylor recognized the situation as, went over there. And they discussed and they're like, no, we need to stop. And then they took everybody back to the locker rooms. At that point, I know the officiating crew was on the phone with New York, slang for just the NFL offices there. I'm sure they were talking to Goodell. I forget what the woman's name is, who's the chief of operating for the NFL, but she's essentially the one who's in charge of making the calls about games, and especially these kind of situations. Um, One of the things I know, and I don't think we even talked about this just a second ago, that was brought up quite a bit. I saw on just not just Twitter, but even the live commentary at first is like, okay, well, we need to realize the NFL pushed through COVID and played every single game. The
mm-hmm,
NFL has pushed through weather and played games, even after significant delays. The only
mm-hmm,
time games have been canceled for the NFL, if I was doing my research correctly, is just when there was a flat out player strike. The last time that
Right.
any game did not happen in the NFL that was flat out canceled was in the 80s. So obviously, it's a high priority for the NFL to get these games done.
Sure.
Reasonably so to some degree when it is the Bengals Bills. So massive billing. Um, we're right at the playoffs. So it's not like there's even a bye week. We can flex here or anything like that. Um, and all this. So, understanding that that's going through their head, at the end of the day, I think Booger said it best, which is still the greatest name for a commentator ever. When it's like this is a game, and it needs to be
Hmm.
realized that
It's a
like
game.
there was a life and death situation happening. That takes precedence over any game. So I
Yeah.
would have, yeah, I definitely would have liked to see the NFL respond better, but we've seen other sports governing bodies respond much worse than the NFL did. We're talking a little bit
Sure.
about Christian Eriksen playing for Denmark in 2021 when he went down with the exact same thing, cardiac arrest, had to be resuscitated on the field. UEFA made Denmark finish that game out. It didn't go well for Denmark whatsoever. Fortunately, everything's gone well for Christian Eriksen and he's back and playing soccer now, but um, I felt like the NFL would have seen what happened with that. Plus, just I mean, look at Josh Allen's face. Like I think we all saw it. How Goodell didn't see it and go immediately. Okay, yeah, this game's done tonight. Is a little bit frustrating, but
Yeah.
you're right. We have to take into factor. It's like there's a lot of confusion going on. Plus, this is the first time this has happened, or at least
Sure.
in recent memory has happened,
Recent memory.
especially
Absolutely.
yeah broadcast at this level. So there definitely one of the things we were talking about though is like there definitely became a time where it stopped being okay to consider restarting the game. The NFL fortunately recognized that. The people on the field recognize that. The fans in the stadiums recognize that. Everybody in the world recognized that, except for a few loud voices who
Sure.
we'll probably name later. But I was
We
glad
can
to
name
see
them
like
all.
well, I most importantly Skip Bayless, probably the loudest
Right.
microphone voice that did say this, where it was like at 8:30, so it was about an hour after everything had
Yeah.
happened.
Like
Um,
it was. I don't even think the dude left the stadium yet. I think
yeah,
he was still. I think he was in the ambulance still at the stadium when Skip decided to send that tweet out. It's
and
like read
everybody at
the
this point
room,
knows.
bro.
Yeah, everybody at this point knows had a cardiac arrest. His heart had stopped beating. They needed to do CPR. You could see the Bills players in tears or on the verge of tears. And for Skip to still want to say something, man, it's just. I'm done with him. It's like I'm out. I am not supporting any of his, endeavors anymore. It's
I mean,
difficult.
yeah, it is difficult, and someone who I do support and actually am a big fan of is Shannon
Shannon
Sharp.
Sharp,
So
yeah.
I'm very proud of him for not coming to the show the next day, taking a stand there. But then when he came on, they had their back and forth. Like Shannon, uh, in the last two fights, which have both been this year with Skip, he's shown a lot of restraint.
Mm-hmm.
And he's shown like he maintains that professionalism. So that's who I support whenever I watch that show. It's not Skip Bayless. It never
No,
has been. That's who I'll continue to support until his next endeavor. But I don't even know why Skip is still in the air at this point. Like
honestly.
I really don't, man. Like it's such and I've heard some back and forth about what exactly he said. Of course, with the seating, everything. I'm not gonna read the tweet because I don't have it in front of me right now. But
I can read
of
it
course,
for you if you would like.
oh, okay, yeah. If you want to, yeah.
Yeah,
Just
I
just to
took a
recap, if you in
screenshot
case
of it
you missed
just in
it.
case he deleted it. Yeah. Skip Bayless tweeted out at 8:30 Central Time. No doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of the game, but how? Question mark. This late in the season, a game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so irrelevant. It
Yes, and
for
it's
me,
like,
it's that
bro,
last little bit. Like he's saying, when he says which suddenly seems so irrelevant, he's essentially going out there and saying, and this is what drove me nuts. Everything else in the tweet, okay, okay, I can live with it. But when he said which suddenly seems so irrelevant, he's essentially saying it doesn't matter what happened to Hamlin. He's off the field now. His body's no longer there. let's play ball, because it's like, hey, why are we forgetting how important the outcome of this game is compared to Hamlin? Who cares about Hamlin? He's gone. He's out of sight, out of mind. Um, we need to focus on the game now. That's what Skip is saying, and that's what drove me nuts.
Doesn't apologize for it, doubles down on it,
Mm-hmm.
and has these fake crocodile tears on the show the next day. And it's like, yes, we all obviously it's been the conversation. Part of the conversation all week is the seeding, right? The playoffs, the game. It was a huge game. This is a big deal. We understand that, but emphasis on game. It
Mm-hmm.
is a game. This is a person's life. And we weren't sure that at that moment, we weren't even sure he was gonna make it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like we weren't even sure if he was like, you know what I'm saying? We just essentially watched him die on the field. That's the last thing we're gonna be talking about at that moment. Like that's not important right now, Skip. Like he
Mm-hmm.
extremely dropped the ball, didn't read the room. Like you see every other reporter, every other athlete, everyone else be in tune with the situation. He just doesn't have that same, I guess, compassion. Someone mentioned earlier, I think that for the players of this game, because at the end of the day, like we keep repeating, it is a dangerous game, but it is a game. These are real people. That's far from being important at that time, you know. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I've never been a Skip fan. I usually watch the show for
For
Shannon.
Shannon, yeah.
But I hope they can get some kind of change up over there. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like he's gonna come out of this unharmed until his next thing.
Oh yeah. Well,
But
because this is why he's on air to say these things, and this is what
yeah,
drives, this is exactly what his show wants him to say. And all
right.
right.
Yeah.
So it's as long as it's easy to recognize that he's the villain. The other person who's a huge villain that's come out of this for me is Bart Scott. I don't know if you saw anything
Okay.
about him and what he said.
I did see that one. Okay. And I'll kind of I won't go villain, but I
Hmm.
will go because I don't really think what he said was as bad as Skip, but it's definitely misinformed. It's
Hmm.
definitely just kind of like, bro. And the other thing about him is he played this game.
He played.
You know, he played this game, so it's like, bro, shut up, bro. Like,
Hmm.
it's yeah, coming for T Higgins on talking about that was the wrong hit. It was the hit was fine. Like the hit was standard, I should say, right?
There was
Um,
nothing illegal about what happened
it was a standard hit.
between Higgins and Hamlin. It was a genuine. It was just a football play.
No, we saw Stone Cold Jones. Body slammed Russell Wilson last week.
There have
You
been
know
much
what
more
I'm saying?
vicious
You
hits
know what I
even
mean?
earlier in that game, let alone
Yeah,
any other game that weekend. Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Like, come on, man. Like, so, yeah, and yeah, it just that was one of those things. It's like, okay, I ain't gonna say I saw what he was trying to say. Like, it just wasn't appropriate. It was inappropriate. I don't. I'm not on the same page as him as I am about Skip
Yeah, Skip
as
is
far as
way
like,
way worse without a
yeah,
doubt. Bart the issue I have with I think Bart 's comments is because I think both you and I have seen it a lot on Twitter is that a lot of people were going after Higgins. I even got text messages from
true.
a couple people who were
Yeah, you're
asking
right.
me
True,
is
very
like,
true.
did Higgins do something wrong? And I'm like, why
It's
are you victim
irresponsible.
blaming right now? This is the thing right now is focusing on Hamlin. And so I think it's Bart Scott just gave I hate using the word mascot, but I'm going to a mascot for that movement of Higgins was
Yeah,
the one who did something wrong here, and
sure.
and Scott's just the most prominent figure was repeating that. No, Higgins did nothing wrong. The guy's still in Cincinnati, staying at the hospital, making sure that Hamlin's okay. Like he has remorse about what happened, and he didn't even do anything wrong.
He didn't do anything wrong. He made a football play.
He made a football
He
play. He
made a
was trying to
football
get
play.
that first down. We spend all week, every single person on Twitter that's a football fan praising, those guys who go for a second effort. And then
Right.
the second T. Higgins goes for a second effort. He's coming under fire from certain people like Bart Scott because they're
Yeah.
blaming him for this cardiac arrest event. No, no,
Yeah,
that.
kind of really just kind of reflect on it. Yeah, I mean, it was completely irresponsible. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and like you said, people were coming for him or coming for T. Higgins all week, and
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, like disappointing on both their parts. Not gonna focus too much on them though, because
Yeah,
there were a lot of
yeah,
heroes in the situation. There
there
were a
were.
lot of heroes. Um, I would even say Booger McFarland is a hero. He
Booger
put in a situation
carried.
not really, yeah, not, yeah, I mean, they're like live on
Yeah.
TV, not really even understanding what was going on, but it's like, bro, clearly this is something serious. This has got to be done. Like, so yeah, they didn't know what to do.
No,
Some
I.
people rise to the occasion, some people don't. And Bart Scott did not,
Mm-hmm.
Booger did.
And
Skip, I would never expect to. So I mean,
yeah, you would hope Bart Scott would do something better. Skip just played to who Skip is. You're like, okay, okay,
Skip
yeah,
gonna be Skip.
we expected that out of you. No,
Yeah.
you're right. But Booger, without a doubt, if there was to be a winner of the night, which I hate looking at it like that, like Booger won.
Right.
What he
Sure.
was doing was great. But the rest of the broadcasting team as a whole, a lot of people were kind of throwing around jokes about, Adam Schefter's not the guy who you want to be a part of this, but you're only given who you got when you're a broadcasting team. So Schefter was there, but. I would say even Schefter included, everyone from a
Yeah.
commentator standpoint did a fantastic job. Lisa down on the field trying to get as much information as she could, talking to whoever she could talk to without being intrusive. I forget who was even calling the game, but they were relaying information as they got it. They were trying to do the best they can. Sometimes a moment of silence is appropriate, but other times you need that comfort. And this kind of situation is one of those things where the comfort of a broadcaster talking to you and talking you through this was probably vital. And every single person, with Booger, King of the Hill, no doubt, just delivered there. And yeah, if you get a chance, just watch Booger talk. If you didn't really get a chance to listen to it or cover it, view it live. See if you can catch some clips of it, because he's a former player, right? I know he played
Yeah.
in college, and I believe he played in the NFL. I think for the
He played in
Buccaneers.
the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Buccaneers.
Um,
Yeah.
you know,
Watch Booger, watch Ryan Clark,
Ryan
and of
Clark
course
was a
watch
huge one. Yeah.
Jason and Travis.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we were just talking about, because we did miss that in the actual broadcast. Jason and Travis's podcast, the New Heights podcast that we reference quite frequently. They recorded on Tuesday, one of the shortest ones we've ever seen out of them, just 20 minutes, but it's 20 minutes well spent listening to that, listening to two current players um, discuss, how they feel. We were talking about how Travis, just it felt shook, right?
Yeah,
So I was really curious to see this guy who's usually loud and boisterous and bigger than life, just like at the point where they were talking about, it's like, how is this going to affect you for the coming week? And all
yeah,
Travis could say is, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to talk about it. And
yeah.
that's
Reminding
crazy.
us that they're people. They
Yeah.
are people too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I definitely want to get into, I guess, quote unquote, lighter conversations such as the
Please.
actual stakes of the playoffs. But first, we can't jump in that right away. I do
Mm.
want to go ahead and offer. We have to kind of, talk about this as well. Former Arkansas and NFL running back Peyton Hillis is rumored to be in critical condition after saving children from drowning in the ocean. His kids are
Wow.
reportedly safe and healthy, but Peyton is now in critical condition and could use your thoughts and prayers. As of 24 minutes ago, Greg Hillis, uh, I'm assuming is a relative of Peyton. I'm not exactly sure the relationship, but I just wanted to let everyone know on Razorback Nation that Peyton is doing better. He is still in intensive care and having some problems with his kidneys and his lungs, but the doctors say he is improving. I just want to head off any rumors that may be started. I'm sure that he would want everyone to know that he appreciates all the prayers being thrown up on his behalf. So, yeah, definitely want to shout that out because one, I mean, he's a hero right now. That he saved some kids from drowning in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of uh you know, scary situations going on in our NFL family right now.
Yeah.
Definitely good to hear that he's doing well. But definitely thoughts and prayers to him as well. Being the fact that he is currently still in the ICU.
Yeah. Wow. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, I didn't want to throw that on you just like out of nowhere, but
No, it's
just as we're scrolling, as I'm looking through kind of the updates, looking for the playoff stuff,
it's a big
this also
update.
came up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
know. Thoughts with him. He did play for the Chiefs for 1 year, or I don't
yes,
even know if he completed a full year. He was
yes,
great at the Browns, like just great to watch. One of the unfortunate sufferers of the Madden curse, of course. But
he was. Yes, he was. Wasn't he like the first guy on there?
yeah, one of them. Yeah, something like that. One of the ones who started it. Your microphone's cutting a little bit in and out, by the way. I don't know
Is
if
it?
it's,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. How
Hopefully
bad is
plugged
it?
in there. No, it's not too bad. Just a little static coming through.
Okay.
Um,
Let's see.
yeah, I don't know if it needs to plug in, plug back out. Yeah, no, so thoughts with him. I really hope, glad, that he was not only able to help those kids, but all those kids are safe now, of course, too. I just pulled it up on my phone and looking through it. I mean, have the strength to be able to save anyone in a swimming condition, let alone in the ocean. Big ups to Peyton, and fingers crossed that he continues to recover there. So we'll keep track of that as well, and probably have a follow up to it as things come through.
Played for the Chiefs in 2012.
2012.
Yep, 2012.
I was so
But
happy
yeah,
when we got him too. I was like, oh heck yeah, let's go. Peyton Hill is baller, and then you know,
2012 was not a good season for the
2012
Chiefs.
was not a good season.
That's a story for another time. We won't go back to that. But yeah, man, let's
Let's
talk
talk
about
about
these
the
updates real quick.
Yeah, so
And then
I can't remember if
we'll,
we've already brought it up since we had to start rebroadcasting. The NFL has come out and officially canceled the Bengals Bills game, so it will not be
yes.
completed. It'll go down as a no contest. For anyone who's been paying even a little bit of attention, we know that this then just kind of throws things haywire when it comes to the actual game. So I'll throw it, yeah, to you about what are the different scenarios here.
Yeah, so yeah, officially canceled. Not playing the game. Among the key factors arriving at this decision, and I'm reading from the NFL's I guess it's a press release. Yeah, online press release. So it says among the key factors in arriving at this decision, not playing the Buffalo Cincinnati game to its conclusion will have an effect on the clubs which qualify for the postseason. No club would qualify for the postseason, and no club would be eliminated based on the outcome of this game. It would require postponing the start of the playoffs by 1 week, hereby affecting all 14 clubs that qualify for postseason. And making the decision prior to Week 18 is consistent with our competitive principles and enables all clubs to know the playoff possibilities prior to playing their final weekend of regular season games. So let's see. They have three scenarios. So one, they say, oh, okay. Actually, before they even get to the scenarios, it says, and I'm sorry, y'all. I just, this is coming in as we're recording, so
Hmm.
we're
You're
getting
hearing it
updates along the
live,
way,
yeah.
hearing it live. But so it says the AFC Championship game will be played at a neutral site if the participating teams played an unequal number of games and both could have been number one seed and hosted the game had the AFC clubs played a full 17 game regular season.
So
Um,
to translate that into English,
right.
uh, basically, if the Bengals or the Bills make it to the championship game, so not both, but one or the other, and then they're facing
Right.
any other team besides the other, the AFC championship game will be played at a neutral site.
Yes. Exactly. So they give a few scenarios. So it says scenario one: Buffalo and Kansas City both win, both tie. A Buffalo or Kansas City championship would be a neutral site. Buffalo and Kansas City
Scenario
both
two,
lose to
yeah.
Baltimore. Yeah, scenario two. Buffalo and Kansas City lose to Baltimore, wins or ties. Buffalo and Kansas City championship would be a neutral site. Basically, yeah. If like you just said, just to summarize it, if Cincinnati or Buffalo make the championship game, we're playing at a neutral site.
We're playing at a neutral
Point
site.
blank period.
Um, Baltimore is the one that kind of does throw things in the wrench here because they were the fourth team, so they were essentially going into last week, there were four teams who could lock in the number one seed. That was, of course, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Bengals, and Baltimore. Through a wild series of events, Baltimore could have locked it up. So if it was to get to a situation where Baltimore wins and, yeah, the Chiefs and Bills do lose, then there does become a scenario where the Bengals, if they were to get to the final, but the Baltimore Ravens essentially ranked higher than them, that means Cincinnati would have no longer been eligible for the number one seed. So, in that case, they can get to the championship game, but then still have to travel to, like, say, Kansas City.
Right.
If that made any sense, please explain it back because I think I still need to understand everything
I
that's
don't know
because
if
this
any
is
of this
just
makes
crazy.
sense, to be
Um,
honest.
at the end of the day, let's just hope the Bills lose this week, right? Is that okay to say with Hamlin still in the hospital? Can we say that? Is that
Since he's recovering, I'm back on to like, yeah, I'm still rooting against the
yeah?
Bills, but
He's recovering, so it's okay.
knowing knowing damn well that now they've got some fuel for their fire, man. Like, you know, them boys gonna be fired up, ready to play, and so
Absolutely.
yeah, hopefully, I'm just looking forward to some good games. To be
Yeah.
honest, I'm just looking forward to some good games. Looks like they're trying to figure it out. Hopefully, things work out. And of course, I want the Chiefs to win at the end of the day. But yeah, as long as they can do it in a fair, relatively fair way, let the cards fall how they fold or whatever the saying is. I don't know the saying.
And fall as they may, yeah, absolutely.
what is what is the saying? Like,
No,
let the
no,
cards
it's
lie.
yeah.
I have no idea.
No, you
I,
got it. You hit it. Yeah.
we're moving on.
Um, no, and so I don't. How would you feel about the Chiefs needing to play at a neutral venue when it would have been possible for us to play at home?
I don't care. Like, and I know Chiefs Kingdom's been going crazy about this, right? They've been going crazy on Twitter all week. Like, don't we deserve the number one seed? Like, well, not just Chiefs Kingdom,
So,
Cincinnati
yeah,
Kingdom, whatever, the Jungle, Bills Mafia.
they're
Everybody's been fighting each
everyone's
other.
saying
It
it.
looks
Yeah.
like that, and I posted a GIF earlier of like the NFL, like or Regina George on from Mean Girls watching everybody like fight each other and stuff like that.
Right.
That's how it feels being on Twitter right now.
Yeah.
Um, Man, as I said before, last two times that the Chiefs in the Mahomes era were the one seed, we lost. Didn't matter if we had
We
home
didn't.
field
Yeah, we
advantage.
didn't get
Now I
there.
know yeah, I know they're both against Tom Brady, but I mean, still, like it's just to me, I think it's just good teams find a way to win. We won as the two seed. The last time we won the Super Bowl was as the two seed,
Mm-hmm.
and yes, we had home field advantage throughout. Right, we had home field advantage throughout the playoffs. That was good. That was, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say home field advantage doesn't matter. I'm not going to say like a bye week or anything doesn't matter,
Mm-hmm.
but good teams find a way to win. The last two Super Bowl champions were a 4 and a 5 seed. Again, the 5 seed, Tampa Bay, had Tom Brady on that team.
Yeah.
That's
Good
fine.
teams find a way. Right.
Good teams find a way. And I think Mahomes has a better away record than a home record right now. Like playoffs aside, like I think he does great on the road. Like we've got, you got that's where you got elite players. You get elite quarterback. And if we have a neutral site to play at, that means the other team is a neutral site too. So it's you know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
it's
And
it's
hey,
it's
Chiefs fans travel.
Chiefs
You
fans travel.
they travel,
Absolutely.
so we can
Absolutely
turn
they travel.
any stadium into home field advantage.
Arrowhead Central, Arrowhead West, whatever you want to
We
call it. We
we
can make it
we
happen.
should put out there, please do not rob any banks in order to pay for this.
Dear God. Yes. You know,
But
not even gonna say. I completely forgot about that with everything that's been going on. Yeah, we had
oh
a guy
man,
rob a bank
oh man,
last week, or a couple weeks ago. Jesus.
man, the
Oh my
NFL is
God.
crazy.
It's been
Yeah,
a wild year. It's been a wild
it's
year.
been a wild year. Oh man, yeah.
Wow.
So it's yeah. If we play at a neutral site, whatever. We were
That's
talking
just
about
me.
this in our text chat earlier. Mahomes has a
Yeah.
better road record than he has a home record, anyways. So screw it.
That's just me.
Let's just
I
go play.
know, I know, yeah, I know everyone wants that home field advantage. And of course, obviously, it's great going to games at Arrowhead. It's
Arrowhead's a
fun. It's the
blast.
playoffs. Yeah, like Arrowhead in the play in January is amazing. But all things considered, we don't have the best luck in the play. It hasn't really mattered. You know
I,
what I'm
I
saying?
mean,
Like
we barely
we,
beat the Bills last year at
we
Arrowhead, in the playoffs. So
and we've lost to the Bengals twice at Arrowhead
at Arrowhead,
last year.
and
One at
yeah,
in the playoffs and one at regular season. 3 times overall, 2 times in the playoffs.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's
Let's
like,
not get so hungry about it. I, yeah,
yeah, or not two. Wait, I might got that wrong. 2 times in the playoffs. They didn't beat us twice.
um,
Uh,
no,
they
it
beat
was
us
regular two times in regular season, one time in the playoffs at
1 time in the
Arrowhead
playoffs. Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
at
2022
Arrowhead.
year. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
3 times overall.
and one thing that's really kind of bugging me about all this, and I don't think gets talked about nearly enough, just period in NFL operating, is the fact that it's like we're over here bickering about a number one seed. It's entirely likely there's going to be at least one team, if not two, that make it to the playoffs with a losing record.
Oh yeah,
While
yeah,
teams with
100%.
and this happens routinely, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's fun to cheer for that underdog and watch them win, but I think it's ridiculous that we're so worried about a number one seed when the Buccaneers are probably going to walk into this game with a losing record, or sorry, into the playoffs with a losing record, and still have the ability to make it to the Super Bowl. I mean,
I would be so mad.
we should start channeling some of our anger about this number one seed situation into fixing how playoff seeding works. Period, because it is silly. Now I understand. Okay, everybody wants one team from one division. Blah blah blah. That's outdated. Be done with it. Let's get rid of it because it's so silly that anyone with a losing record can go in there while there will be teams sitting at home in January who have a
Right.
winning record. Um,
Yeah.
that's me and my little podium there. So it's just
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
drive me nuts.
It's going to be so interesting how this all plays out. It's gonna be the weirdest year since, I mean, COVID. We had a COVID year.
That's the last year.
Yeah, which was a couple years ago. Was wasn't even that long
Oh,
ago,
time is
and
not
now we
linear,
got this.
man.
Yeah.
All right.
Uh,
Is there
wait a
anything
minute.
else
I'm
we need to
sorry.
talk about with Monday night, with the Bills Bengals games being canceled, or do we go on to talk about Chiefs Broncos?
I don't even know how much we need to talk about Chiefs Broncos, to be honest. Like, I
I think
mean,
we
I
can cover
think,
it real quick.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I firmly believe that divisional rivalries, divisional matchups play a factor in how those games
Mm-hmm.
pan out. I don't care how bad the Broncos are. Like, yes, they're terrible, but it doesn't matter. Like, divisional games are always tough, and once again, we saw that. We saw that once again with this one, where and I think they had a little bit of motivation, um, with all the scrutiny around Russell Wilson and kind of like the situation going on with him firing of their coach. So they've got another coach in there who seems to understand Russell's game a little bit better. They came in with a better game plan than they did a couple weeks ago, and
Uh-huh.
Russ looked like his old self. He's running, he's throwing, he's making catch it passes and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's making his reads. He looked like old Russ. So I'm not exactly sure what changed over there, but I do think they were maybe a little bit more fired up, uh,
Well, and
given the things going on in Bronco country,
they
and
had
of
just
course
been
playing out.
embarrassed by the
Yeah,
Rams. They just lost the
true,
game by like 50 points. So I think any team was going
true,
to come out the next week and be like, "No, we deserve to be here," kind of thing, right?
100%.
And I
And
I
they hate us.
I
The
fully agree
Chiefs,
with
they
you.
hate us.
I fully agree with you though. It's the divisional rivalry that gets these things fired up. I think there's some really funny tweets going out about the air that it's like if the Broncos played the Chiefs every week, Nathaniel Hackett would still have his job.
Oh
It's
no, I didn't
uh,
see that. I didn't see. That's
yeah,
funny.
it's because it's like these games are going to be close and they're going to be tight. Anyone who says Russell's washed may be approaching correct. we were also saying the same thing about Tom Brady at the beginning of the season. Now he's probably about to go on a Super Bowl run, and I swear to God, if they get there with a losing record and beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, I will scream. But
I do
um,
that. I might have to give
it,
up on football, bro. Until Tom Brady retires. Like if that happens, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna come
we're
back,
done.
bro. Yeah,
Podcast
I'm
on
gonna give it
hiatus.
sit out for 5 years. Let that man officially get like 50. Then like maybe I'll start watching football again.
And we'll bring it back. Yeah, it's just it's you can never count out somebody who has the skill set that Russell does have. And like you said, it's I don't who knows if it's the head coach is coming in there with a change mentality or if it's more of like this is a guy with like no real coaching experience. I think he was like hired originally by Hackett to be a timeout specialist or something like that.
Right.
Like his existence was clock management. So if he's anywhere somewhat intelligent, he's probably looking at the offensive coordinator going, handle this. Yeah, take the
He wasn't
offense
even
and go win,
yeah, he wasn't even their first choice
Yeah.
for
It
interim. He
wasn't
wasn't even their first choice.
just
I've been listening to like Denver radio, just kind of get there.
uh-huh.
I've been doing this a lot more lately, like listening to the opponent radio, get their perspective on things.
I
And
love
so
it.
yeah, they were just like, yeah, like this guy was not supposed to be the guy,
It
but
was
it seemed
the
yeah,
job was first offered to their defensive coordinator, who's currently like in the top 5 of like available head coaching candidates out there,
like
and
he's like, I don't want that shit.
yeah, well, he was given the opportunity. He's like, nope, I don't want it because he doesn't want to
No,
end up sullying his name with 2 bad losses at the end of the
setting
season,
up for
right?
failure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
only
I can't
like
blame
the
him.
enemy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I only want the enemy to take that job. That's a toxic job right now.
but didn't enemy play college ball in Colorado?
Which yeah, he might. It just okay.
So
So that's a whole conversation for a different day. But
that
just
is,
real
yeah.
quick, if the
This
enemy,
will happen after Black Monday.
yeah, right, right. So, but
So
if
next
the
week.
enemy wants to take, right, like if the enemy wants to take a job and he finally gets a shot at head coach, why go to a place where you have the worst chance of like really
Of success, yeah.
changing things? Yeah, worst chance of success when they're already trying to give you reasons. They're already trying to find reasons for you not to be a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't go there.
Heck
Like if
no.
I were like I have the option, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I would
okay,
take it
you
in a
know what? No,
heartbeat.
I won't lie. If the Denver Broncos came to me with the kind of salary they offer head coaches,
100%.
I'd probably be like, all right.
100%. I feel like, all right, boys.
But I also know I would fail, so that would be hilarious for me.
Jet chip wasp boys. Like what?
Just throw out some acronyms. Go do it. No, you're right though. Enough can't be said about how well the Broncos did show up, especially since they were playing in Arrowhead. It was a pretty quiet stadium for stretches of that game, which is impressive because I think everybody's viewing this nightmare scenario of the Denver Broncos, who haven't beaten us since 2015, finally, maybe just pulling it off. And thank God it didn't. Point number 2 there, Jerick McKinnon, he did everything he could to put the team on his
That
back and
dude.
just drag us screaming and kicking across the finish line. He is
He is that
something
dude.
else. Yeah.
He is that dude. He's exactly what we thought we were going to get with like LaShawn McCoy.
Mm-hmm.
Take your pick. Any veteran running back we've brought in.
Rojo?
Uh, Brojo. Do you even
Who's
remember
still on the
Le'Veon
team?
Bell was? Yeah. Do you remember Le'Veon Bell was a Chief?
Yeah, for like what, 5 minutes? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was like, I just going through my Rolodex. I was like, oh yeah, Le'Veon
That's
Bell,
right.
Bell was a Chief. What happened to that?
Right.
You know.
Yeah,
Um,
because what McKinnon's been with us for a couple years. I think it was even towards the end of last year where people are already talking about, who we're getting to replace McKinnon, as if
yeah,
McKinnon wasn't, well, we already got McKinnon, we're good. I'm so glad he stuck around. I'm so glad the Chiefs kept him in the game plan because, well, he's the first. Correct me if I'm wrong on the stat. First running back since the 1950s to score a receiving touchdown in 5 consecutive games.
right.
And if he goes to 6, I think that'll make him the first running back to ever do it. So, hey, big ups to McKinnon this coming weekend. Hopefully, you do get a receiving touchdown. I love that.
Let's
Um,
go.
let's go. So, he's been one of the shining lights of this like recent rough patch we've kind of been going through. McKinnon's definitely stepping up huge, and earlier on in this season, we were like, where the hell are our running backs? Well, we found them. We got Pacheco. We got McKinnon.
We got him.
We got him. We're ready.
Running back. Yeah. Tandem situation. Best quarterback in the league. Best tight end in the league. Great offensive line. We just need we got some good D guys too. Defensive guys stepping up. I know Chiefs Kingdom is in disarray as they always are. Doom and gloom on Twitter. I'm reading the tweets right now, but I feel pretty good going into this playoffs, man. I feel
I
pretty
do
good. That's
too.
why, like, again, I'm not worried about the seeding. Like, now if we go, okay, so, and again, I'll just talk about divisional rivalries and things like that. If we go in and lay an egg against the Raiders, then yes, I'll be mad. I know it's like, I know it'll probably
Oh
be an
yeah.
interesting game, but
We're taking next week off if that happens. We're not
yeah,
podcasting, right? We're agreed. We need mental recovery.
we might have to, yeah, we might have to, yeah,
Just
we might need a bye
delete
week.
the channel, get rid of it all. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I mean, I am less concerned about the playoffs than I am about us showing up good against the Raiders this coming weekend.
yeah, because this game still matters,
This game
especially
still matters.
with all the stuff going on with of course the seating and things like that. This game matters, so we got to give them our best shot. Because before, I remember what I was saying, I was like, man, we could probably, especially with all the uncertainty. I was a proponent of just like resting our starters for that game.
Mm-hmm.
Like because we weren't guaranteed a one spot.
Right.
Um, I mean we're still not, but I mean, it's probably a good idea to just come out there and just beat them. Just beat them. That
Just win.
that eliminates a lot of worry that
Mm-hmm.
the Chiefs Kingdom has right now. We go in and beat them. That eliminates a lot of playoff worry. I believe that secures us the one seed, right?
Well, ish.
Cincinnati has to lose.
Bills have to lose. And they're
Bills
playing a
have to lose.
very capable Patriots team. The Bengals are also going against the Ravens. So, like in all like the opponents that are the two biggest contenders are facing. So, like who the Bengals are facing, who the Bills are facing, are good quality teams that can deliver the second piece to the puzzle that we need. So, right now the focus has to be on us holding up our end of the bargain too, and making sure that we beat a team who is not good. Is Derek Carr even going to be playing this coming week? I don't think
Oh, he's
so.
done.
I think
Jared
he's
Stidham.
just gone. Yeah. So
Yeah, it's Stidham.
we're playing against an incredibly weak Raiders team. If we need to win, because the Patriots can beat the Bills, and very huge likelihood that they will beat the Bills.
I
And
think the
same thing
Patriots
with
can beat the Bills. I don't think Baltimore is beating the Bengals
it's
with what's his name? Snoop.
exactly what's his name, right? Yeah.
Huntley. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really it really is a shame that the Lamar Jackson's season has kind of fluttered out with these injuries. Feel really bad
It's a
for him.
shame because I like Lamar a
I
lot.
do,
I
yeah.
actually do. And his, even on a smaller level, his injury harpens back to this thing with Damar in a way about the guaranteed money, the contract. This is why they fight for those things.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, because
It's
injuries
tough.
happen
Yeah.
in this game. So yeah, I mean it's hopefully I'm yeah, I love watching Lamar, man. Are you kidding me? The dude's crazy good,
He's
and
fun
he's
to
great for
watch.
my fantasy team. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm ready for him. Hopefully, to make a full recovery. But I don't see the Ravens doing it in these
And
playoffs.
and yeah, fortunately we don't have to worry about that as much. It's the crux of it is Patriots need to beat the Bills and we need to beat
Sure,
the
we
Raiders.
need to beat the Raiders. Yeah,
And we'll see what happens from there. It's just also important to remember that if we don't get the number one seed, the number two seed is perfectly fine. Because
you
it's
won the Super Bowl as a
yeah,
number
as
two
the number
seed.
two seed, yes, exactly. Oh man. But all that means is that the Bills have to lose at some other point because they're going to be on the opposite side of the bracket from us, and then we have home field advantage for the important games, assuming
There we go.
we don't end up at a
Yeah,
neutral site. But yeah, that's how it happens. That's why we've had four AFC Championship games in a row in Arrowhead. It's not because we've locked up the number one seed every time. It's just because we were the better team in the playoffs, and that's all we need to focus
exactly,
on.
exactly.
That and beating the Raiders because I like beating the Raiders.
We definitely need to just beat the Raiders.
Just beat the Raiders. It's not hard. One other, no, two topics left here. First, huge props out. We're getting towards the end of the season. Yeah, these like stats of where players are at as far as like the table of top whatever statistic throughout the season. It's hard for me to take it seriously towards the first half of the season, maybe even the first two-thirds of the season, because there's still so much play left. We're officially at the point in time where we can start talking about statistical leaders, and one of those is Nick Bolton. Second in the league when it comes to tackles, both solo tackles and assisted tackles combined. And then just on solo tackles alone, he's in third place, and that is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. No, Nick Bolton's been that dude.
He's a monster.
He's been that dude. Like, um, going back to fantasy, I mean, not that it matters as
Oh no,
much, but
yeah,
like,
please.
he was completely available in our league. We have a league where you pick defensive guys.
Uh huh.
That man was giving me like 15 points a game.
Because he's making every tackle. Like
Yeah,
he's I don't even think it's a case where it's like he's the one who has to make the tackle because he's the only one on the team who can tackle. It's because he's just there. He's always there wherever the play is happening and making a tackle. And
he
it's
is all over the
wild
field.
to see. It's I just
All
like
over the
I
field.
don't I wish I had that amount of energy just so I could walk my dog.
He is
It's like
all over the
he's
field, and I love to see it.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely him and L'Jarius Sneed,
Yeah.
our two best defensive players. We need Chris Jones keep doing his thing because Chris Jones is doing well too. I
He
think
yeah,
down the stretch.
yeah.
Yeah,
He does his job because teams devote so much resources to stopping him from doing his job.
yeah,
And so that's what
absolutely,
makes
one
him do
hundred
his
percent,
job, right?
100%.
Um
And then yeah,
yeah.
I think I'm optimistic about our chances in the playoffs. Do I mean obviously anything could happen,
Mhm.
and I mean I know what you're saying about the Bengals maybe losing to the Ravens or whatever. I think the Bengals. I think that's who we see in the championship. To be honest, I don't think it's the
Yeah.
Bills. I think it's the Bengals. I think the Bengals would have beaten the Bills on Monday night. I think
Yes.
they're just coming together at the right time. They've got hella weapons.
Yeah.
They've got so many weapons.
And
So yeah,
it's gonna be really interesting to see going back to the Hamlin injury. It's entirely possible that just the emotional and mental strain that's going to be putting on the Bills may have buried their season. We don't know if that's going to be the case or not. We hope it's not, obviously, but this coming weekend will really tell us a lot. Will they be playing with that revenge mentality, or will they still be, trying to recover? Of course, with Hamlin being better, we can see it more as a revenge mentality, and maybe the Bills come out firing. But I'm with you. I think the Bengals are better positioned to be the team to go the distance against the Chiefs here.
it could go either way. It could be they're motivated by fighting to fight for their brother, or like Kelsey said on the pod, which this could affect pretty much anybody in the league. They might be a little
Hmm.
shook up, just like having witnessed it still. So
Absolutely.
they might have to shake off some demons during these first couple quarters of the game of this next this they play Saturday,
They play
Sunday.
Sunday. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So
I
that'll
had
be
to think about that.
that'll be interesting one to key in on.
Yep.
But yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, should we
Favorite
talk about my
topic.
favorite topic, or do you want to skip by it?
I kind of want to skip it, but yeah, if you want to talk about it real quick. Your boy is hurt. Your boy is
No,
hurt.
no, he's not my boy. Let's. I don't want any ownership of this embarrass. Okay. Yeah, Harrison Butker continues to miss kicks. He had some practice this week due to back spasms. I haven't seen anything. Do you know if he was having these back spasms during the game this past weekend? Is that maybe why?
I have no idea, but that would explain a
It
lot.
would explain a lot. It just I don't know. I repeat every single podcast. Yeah, go back and listen to about this the 45-minute mark in every single podcast and listen to me rant and rave about kickers. If there's going to be something that cost us, like if something is going to happen in the playoffs that the Chiefs that's self-inflicted that the Chiefs do to themselves to result in us not winning the Super Bowl this year, it's not going to be offense, it's not going to be defense, it's going to be
That's it.
our special teams. And it's
100%.
because not just his Butker messing up, but even if you watch some of these other games where he has missed kicks, Tommy Townsend is not placing the kick down very well. Winchester's not snapping the ball very well. It's three individuals that are causing these problems, and it's just getting so frustrating to watch. And I hate the fact that, like, our Super Bowl hopes hinge so heavily on this. We could have won this game against the Broncos 31-24 very easily. We should have won it any other year. We would have won this game 31-24 because
So,
Butker would not have missed a PAT and would not have missed a field goal. But it's becoming a recurring theme this year, and so I don't. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say it because we've been making some bold predictions, and because this has continued to happen, Butker's gone in the off season. I think.
yeah,
I don't
yeah, I
even
would
know if
agree with
that's
that.
considered bold even. Yeah, it's I think he's just gone. I think we're going to end up drafting some kicker and just letting him have a good time.
I'd agree with that, and you know, he's done great for us, but maybe now it's time.
Hey, we
NFL
traded
not for
Morton
long.
Anderson away. We let Morton Anderson walk away. It's
Sure.
so and Morton Anderson's still the Chiefs scoring record holder, I think. But probably the best kicker that the team's ever had. Um,
Right.
and we let him walk away because he started to falter. And same thing for Bucker. It's time to let Old Yeller go to the farm and get somebody new.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, old Yeller. Jesus.
I'm just so fed up with kickers.
Right.
I'm over it.
I know we normally would really kind of cover the rest of the league.
Yeah.
I'm down to run down that real quick. I am kind of running a little bit short on time.
No, yeah, we need to go
Um,
quick because of the unfortunate interruption that we did have there with our stream going down. So real quick, rest of the league, big things to look at. The Lions played outstanding against the Bears. At this point, I don't think the Bears exist. I think it's Justin Fields and then a bunch of his friends playing the game. Because Justin Fields is doing everything he can to win games. Dude had 100 rushing yards in the first quarter, I think.
yeah.
Just ridiculous.
And
But
I could be wrong, but I think they read that they're resting him this week to lock up that number one seed.
I would, yeah.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah.
Um, So yeah, let's see what the Lions do there. Curious because they play. Oh God,
The
I know
Packers,
this.
right?
They play the Packers. That's right. Okay, I couldn't remember if it was the Vikings or the
Or do
Packers.
they play the Lions?
Oh, let me see. Okay, I'm gonna pull this up now.
Well, no, they just paid the Lions. They have to pay the. You're right. Shit.
Is it the
Shoot.
Vikings? All right, I'm NFL.com. Let's go. So we'll pull that up real quick, but cover some of this other stuff. Jags Titans. This is going to be a fun game to watch because the Jags are just
It
streaking.
matters.
They're streaking, man. They're doing really
Yeah.
good at the right time. I'll be really curious to see if they are able to pull this off and get into the playoffs. I think they're a
Tennessee
dangerous
is.
team. So yeah.
Yeah. Derrick Henry is active. They rested him last week. He's
Hmm.
active this week. Game is on the line.
Game's on the line. It is Packers Lions, and that's the Sunday night game. I will definitely be
That's
watching
what I
that.
thought. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Packers Lions. Yeah.
yeah. Dolphins. They're awful unless Tua's playing. They're awful when Tua's
Man.
playing hurt. It
Another
sucks.
another injury situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So I don't think he's able to play this week. I would
he
need to double
shouldn't.
check that, but I think yeah, he shouldn't play, right? But the Dolphins still have a chance to make it to the playoffs, so who knows where that'll end up.
Right. Right.
And then along with the Jags, another team that's kind of come out of nowhere in the second half of the season, the Packers. They are still playing incredibly well, so it would be
My
really.
bold prediction.
Oh
We're gonna
no,
get a Tom
Packers,
Brady.
Packers Bucks championship game.
Yeah.
Oh,
The old men are still doing it.
oh
I'll,
my
I'll,
God.
I'll I'll do that. I'll put that on there. I'll put that out
You
there.
put that out there?
I'll put
Okay.
that in the
I
universe.
love. I hadn't even thought about that. That's brilliant,
They're
Rob.
both gonna make it. Yeah, man. They're both gonna make it. It's like we were talking so much trash about both these guys being kind of done, and
Uh huh.
they're both of their teams make the playoffs. They might
They
they
might
might
do
get
it.
there, man. And they're
That's.
streaking at the right time.
I'm so glad you brought that to me. I am. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, so we'll
I,
see.
I don't think there's any best of the rest really. It was kind of
Nah,
the teams you expected to win one kind of weak.
it
So
was it was a pretty uninteresting matchup of games. I think the only one it was actually pretty interesting, I guess, if there was a best of the rest, right? Raiders Niners. That ended up being a very interesting game.
And so we talk about divisional rivalries always being a super close one. For anyone who doesn't know, the 49ers Raiders is a vicious rivalry.
Because
Which
they're same area, right? Because
they
they were Oakland and San
they
Francisco.
literally,
Yeah,
it's the Golden Gate Bridge that separates them. Yeah, it's the Bay of
yeah,
San
yeah, yeah.
Francisco that separates them. It's it's crazy. Like you wouldn't even think non-division opponents, let alone non-conference opponents, would have a rivalry. These guys, I mean, um, it's insane. It's like it reaches up there with some of the best just divisional rivalries in the league, without a doubt.
That's
Maybe
cool.
even some of the best sports rivalries. So it's always fun to watch them play.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Even though they're in Vegas now, it's like I think
Yeah.
most of the Raiders fans are probably still in Oakland and in
Mm-hmm.
California. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Always fun. All right.
Yeah, week 18,
First and
Chiefs.
foremost, Chiefs Raiders. Yeah. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, I mean we're saying the same thing. Chiefs and Raiders, as we were saying, we just win, baby.
Just win. Just win, baby, win.
To quote them, to quote the opponent,
Quote the man.
that's what we got to do.
Just win, baby, win. All right.
Yeah, man.
I got nothing to really say there. Raiders aren't even playing Derek Carr anymore. It.
They're playing Jared Stidham, which we believe, if you're on the internet a lot, Josh, what's his name, Josh McDaniels. That's probably his guy. It's his guy
Uh.
from it's his guy from New England. Like I think he wants to build around. They're going to trade Derek Carr in the offseason and build around maybe Stidham, maybe a younger guy, but I don't know. I think he likes his guys,
Yeah, I can't wait to
and
see
so I think we're
Derek
seeing
Carr
that
play
there.
in the Colts jersey next year. It's going to be great.
It might be an improvement for both
For both
parties
teams.
involved. I don't think it can do any worse.
No, man. Um, Before we get into
Titans, Jags.
it, so I had put playoff scenarios on here before we did learn about what is going to happen. So yeah, we should probably
Yeah,
skip
yeah,
by that. We've already discussed pretty in depth the AFC. NFC wise, Cowboys, Eagles, and Vikings are all in the running for the number one seed.
yes.
It'll be really curious to see how that plays out. None of it'll matter because, like you were saying, it's probably going to be a Packers Buccaneers championship game.
Do we know if Jalen Hurts is playing?
I will look that up real quick if you want to talk about Titans Jags.
Well, I mean, we already kind of talked about Titans, Jags. It matters. This game matters. It's so crazy that just just Monday night, man, changed everything. Because it's
Mm-hmm.
like, yes, this matters. Maybe not as much anymore with everything that's going on, but it still does matter for those two teams, those
Mm-hmm.
franchises. Um, I guess my question to you is, who would you rather see make it? I mean, I know obviously they're in the AFC, so it's not like we're rooting for either one of them,
Uh-huh.
but I'd be interested in see what the Jags do. I think the Jags win this.
I like Mike Vrabel. I like Derrick Henry. I think they're awesome. I don't like anything else about the Titans. Jaguars, I've always been a fan of their jersey. I'm not gonna lie. I love that, like green
Their
on
new
black.
jerseys, right?
Oh yeah, their
Yeah,
new jerseys are really good too.
yeah.
Um,
Their old ones are. I'm not a fan of the ones with the gradient helmets that they
oh
had
yeah,
going on
yeah,
the
yeah,
Blake
yeah.
Bortles years.
Uh-huh.
Those
Those
are
were a
not
little
good.
rough. Um,
They-
no, I think I'm with you. Like, I would like to see what happens with the Jags. Here's the way I'll say it, right? Is that what we want is for the Bills to lose in the playoffs, whether they get the one seed or the two seed. Between these two teams who are likely to face off against the Bills, I think the Jags have a better chance of beating the Bills than the Titans, and because of that, I will cheer for the Jags.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ravens, Bengals. I want the Ravens. Damn it.
Ravens, Ravens all day,
we
every day.
already know. We already know. It's fear.
You know it.
It's because I think the Bengals are really good. So I'm
Right.
like, you know what? They've beaten our ass 3 times. We might be able to get them a fourth time, but you know what? I'm gonna go
No,
for it.
no,
Let's give them.
we have so much better. We'd have so much, and
Yeah,
you know we can, and you know that Chiefs fans can set Marcus Peters off in a heartbeat. So, you know,
yeah, they can.
bring the Ravens to Arrowhead and let us just piss off Marcus Peters instead of playing the Bengals, who will probably beat us again. I agree. Yeah, Ravens all
I
day,
mean, I
every
just
day.
don't know if I could take a fourth loss to them.
I no, not within a
Like we could beat
365
them.
day period. Yeah.
We could beat them, but I mean, They got us three in a row, bro. You know?
Yeah. No, Joe Burrow has our number. It's just like how the Mannings had Tom Brady's number. Joe
Yeah,
Burrow's got our number, and that's not fun.
right. But yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, Best of the rest. I
best of
guess
the
that's where
rest.
you say NFC mostly.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I'll just be curious to see who gets the one between the Eagles and the Cowboys for the
Yeah.
NFC.
Do you
If
think the
there's,
Vikings have a shot at getting the one seed or no?
I think the Vikings are a fraud.
Are done?
I think they're a fraud, bro. I don't think they're a really good team at all. Like I think they're terrible and they've just been managing to get lucky. And I think they're I mean, no, I don't think they'll get the first round the one seed.
The one
And
seed,
I
yeah.
also think I wouldn't be surprised if they lose to the
And wild,
Bears.
yeah,
Like you know
wild
what
card
I'm
week,
saying?
right?
Yeah.
They play the
Well, no,
Lions,
just
yeah,
this week.
yeah. They'll
They're the Lions. They're playing the Lions. You're right. You're right. Wait, are they playing?
no,
Oh,
they're
sorry.
playing the
We just
Bears.
talked about this.
Son of a gun!
We
Oh
just
my
talked about
God,
this. Yeah, I
you're
was like,
right.
we just
No,
talked about
they are
this.
playing the Bears, and yeah, they might lose to the Bears. So I
I
guess
wouldn't be surprised, even with their backup. I wouldn't be surprised.
no, it's the
They
question.
nearly lost to the Colts.
It's the question of the year. What time is the game happening at? I'm pulling it up. This is the crux of it, right? We all know that there's certain
2
times
p.m.
of the
Kirk
day.
Cousins.
It is a noon game, so
Oh, Kirk,
so
this might be your
Kirk will
time,
probably be.
bro.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Yeah, I think the Cowboys are going to end up with the number one seed. I did look. Jalen Hurts was in limited practice today.
Mm,
If I'm the Eagles, I mean, he wasn't able to play last week when you really needed him, probably because of that. Just go ahead and sit him this week. Maybe Gardner Minshew can pull something out against the Cowboys. Maybe you win it. Maybe you lock up that number one seed. But to me, I would. We were just talking about it. I
yeah.
think I would rather be a number two seed or whatever. Oh yeah, because they wouldn't win the division, they'd be all the way down to like five seed or whatever. Just hilarious that this is how the NFL works. But hey, um,
Yeah, it
I
is crazy.
I would rather be playing on the road through the playoffs with Jalen Hurts for sure than risk him in this game for a number one seed and risk him getting hurt and not having him in the playoffs because you
The,
never know what that injury is going to be. If it's an ACL,
sure.
this coming week or something like that, that takes them all out of not just this year but next year too. So this is me now. I'd take the cautious approach. We'll see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays. I still think the Cowboys end up winning because I think at this point I'm willing to say I think the Cowboys are the best NFC team, and it's not even close.
That's interesting. I I am kind of bought in on the Niners a little bit.
I can see
I
it.
know they just I know they didn't they what it was a close game. They I think who won between the Raiders and the Niners.
The Niners did,
Um,
yeah,
the Niners won. I know it was a close game, like you said. That's kind of a weird, bitter rivalry that we're learning about.
yeah.
But they're hot right now, and I think they could come into if they were to play the Cowboys, right? Even if the Cowboys get the one seed, right, and they have to face like the Niners, the Bucks, or the Packers, right?
Hmm.
All of them people have the Cowboys numbers. All three of those teams have the Cowboys number.
That's
The
fair.
Eagles have the Cowboys number. I don't see it. I don't see the Cowboys making the Super. I could be wrong.
I
I could be
think the
wrong.
only thing that keeps me cautious about the 49ers overall as being the best NFC team is like at some point the question for me right now is Brock Purdy actually this good, or is it because defenses just haven't had a time to figure him out yet? Because he's what
It could be that.
started like I think he's going into his fifth game this week, or he's played five games. Defensive coordinators get paid a buttload of money because they're really good at their jobs typically. You give them enough time, they'll figure out how to beat them. We're seeing it with Mahomes, where teams have busted out defensive schemes that Mahomes has had a hard time to work through, and it took them, not too long in order to figure that out. But it still took
Right.
a chunk of time, a few years. Somebody like Birdie, is he winning really well because nobody expected him to be the starting quarterback of the 49ers, so they game plan against Jimmy G and everyone else? Or is it because he's actually good? That's where the question remains. And every single week we go through, it gets closer and closer to us finding out that answer. I would not be surprised if it turns out that while he is admittedly a good player, it's just because defenses haven't had a chance to game tape against him yet.
I mean, and I do think it's that. It's because they haven't figured him out. That's part of the reason.
Hmm.
He also does have weapons. He has some weapons on the offense, and I think their
And
defense is
they
pretty good,
have,
right?
yeah, they have, I think statistically the first or second best defense in the league. So
Yeah,
yeah, no, I mean, he's got everything around him that he could ever want.
right. And I
Um,
think that defense can stop Dak Prescott
yeah,
and Zeke. Maybe not CD,
Tony.
but those other guys.
Tony
Yeah,
Pollard's balling out too. But no, I fully get yeah what you're saying there. So I
yeah.
can see that. Maybe the Buzz. I don't know. I
See why the playoffs are exciting, people?
just why we love it. All
Yeah,
right.
man.
Um. Anything else? Rest of the best there for you?
Nah, man. I'm ready to give my prediction.
All right. Do we want to do predictions or do we want to talk about this whole CPR thing
I
first?
think we do predictions and then we end with the
All
CPR
right.
stuff
Perfect.
after.
Well, I'll just backtrack for a second. What is your guess for this game this week?
I mean, I think we win. We have to win. This is a must win. I think the guys are going to be determined, especially knowing like all the weirdness going on with the playoffs and the seeding and all that stuff. They're like, okay, the only way to secure an ideal spot in the playoffs is to win. If y'all care about seeding so much, go in, beat the Raiders, beat the hell out of them, and yeah, let's go. I'm gonna say, let's do. I'm gonna say like I know I always end up in the 30s, but I'm gonna say like 32 to 21.
You said
That's my
30 to 21. Sorry.
like 34 to 21
34. Okay,
Chiefs.
I missed that
We'll
last
do
little
that.
bit
We'll do
there.
that. Well, I said 32, but I'm actually
Oh,
going to
okay.
increase that 34.
Um,
21 Chiefs.
yeah, and you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say like 31-27. I think it'll be closer than we want it to be. I'm also just going to say that and then hope it's the other way around. But yeah, I'm right there with you. You know, I think it's still going to be close because divisional game.
Yeah.
But you know, it's the
Well,
Raiders. We gotta win. It's a gotta win game.
yeah. I don't think so. And this is just me completely speculating. But I would be curious. I feel like the Broncos were more fired up to beat the Chiefs than the Raiders will be. Just because I feel like the
Hmm.
Broncos, like you said, they just got their ass kicked the week before by the Rams. They're going into Arrowhead. Russ trying to prove he's not washed. Like there was a lot going into I think that game
Uh huh.
from the other side that we're not really accounting for. I think over here on the Raiders side, I think they've already chalked it up to a rebuilding year already. So they're not really trying to
Just
put
have
them
to
on.
look at the quarterback alone to see where these teams' mentality are. It's like at the end of the day. Uh-oh, did our stream go down again? No, it did not. At the
No,
end
I've
of
been
the
watching it the
day,
whole time.
Russell walked in and played the game. Derek Carr will not even be in the building. So that kind of tells you where the mentality is of the team. So I absolutely appreciate where you're coming from with that whole, Denver wanted to win. Raiders are just trying to end the year. They're just done.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get
yeah.
you there, and yeah, I like that.
But yeah, let's I see it's been a very, 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 very important week
Hmm.
in regards to player safety, on any level, NFL, or as you mentioned, this is a common occurrence in like high school level, things like that. And you wanted to take the time to provide our listeners with some CPR and other resources.
Yeah, absolutely. So this will be on our YouTube channel. It will. What's the timestamp right now on this? We're at about the hour 13 mark. So if you ever need to reference this in the future, feel free to go here. And then yeah, if we want to tweet this out, that might not be a terrible idea either.
Oh, definitely.
The thing at the end of the day, the thing that saved Hamlin's life was CPR. CPR is one of the most simple concepts when it comes to a life-saving mechanic that anyone in the world can do. You know, a reasonably healthy individual can give to another individual in order to save a life, but it does require some training. Fortunately, the Red Cross, there's just like heart.org, just huge like cardiovascular health organization in the United States. And then a whole bunch of local resources offer classes typically for free or for very cheap in order to become CPR certified. On the stream itself, I have the URL for Red Cross in order to find a class and sign up for it. You just go to that site, you search your address, and then they have classes around there. Heart.org also, same thing. If you were to follow that link, you can find classes taught in your local area. You can also just Google it. It's not uncommon whatsoever for your local first responders groups, typically firehouses, to offer up free courses in how to give CPR. If you wanted to, you could even go so far as to look on YouTube, but we would recommend in person training from a professional. And then places like the Red Cross and Heart.org will give you a genuine certification showing that you know what you're doing in order to do that. So if you watch any kind of like medical reviews, those people who do like reactions to TV shows or medical dramas, that kind of stuff, almost universally across the board, whenever there's a doctor reviewing those scenes, what they say is never stop compressions. Give CPR, give chest compressions, because at the end of the day, nothing matters unless blood is coursing through a human's body, and CPR
Hmm.
is how you do that without some kind of medical training. You or I can go get certified and save someone's life with CPR. So Google
Absolutely.
it, look this up, sign up for a class. Now, that being said, not everybody wants to be put in a position where they feel responsible for saving someone's life, right? If somebody were to collapse in front of me in a crowded area, I have no problem admitting I would probably freeze and not comprehend the fact that I have to give CPR or do anything CPR related. So I did want to throw out another resource that's relatively painless and cost about an hour of your time once every few months. Donating blood, it's another great thing. It's entirely possible that any kind of injury that does happen to an NFL player, if it does result in an open wound, could require blood. Somebody like what Peyton Hillis went through, we don't know why he's drowning. Maybe he needs blood, right? Or just Jeremy Renner got into an
Jeremy
accident,
Renner, man.
yeah, this
Yeah.
past weekend where a snowplow ran him over. He's in the ICU following multiple surgeries. He needs blood. And then even me personally, for anyone who doesn't know, while I was in college biking to class, I got hit by a car, and I ended up having 3 different surgeries within a month. The first one
Mm,
was pulled 3 pints of blood out of me from internal bleeding, and I did require
damn.
a blood donation. So it's that one's near and dear to my heart. I give blood as
Sure.
soon as I can, and that's a way to help save lives that doesn't require actual physical intervention from you. You go, you show up, take a book, take your Kindle, whatever you want, and donate some blood and save a life. Um,
Absolutely.
and then the last thing I have up there, of course, is Damar Hamlin's Foundation's GoFundMe page. It's a super relatively informal charity, so it's not like one of these things like the 15 of my homies that has a dedicated website of its own. It is just based on a GoFundMe page. I put the link in there. My understanding of the charity is that it's essentially a toy drive for underprivileged families. It's a fantastic cause. It's raised something like $7 million this week.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
just not just Bills fans giving to it, but everybody everywhere. I think Robert Kraft gave a sizable donation. It's my
Yep.
understanding. It's always great to see.
$18,003.
It's insane. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. So if the blood donations or learning CPR maybe isn't quite your speed and you have a couple bucks burning a hole, go hit up that GoFundMe page and let's show Damar Hamlin some support.
Absolutely. And yeah, I definitely wanted to say these for the end because I think this is a great place to leave it off on. And definitely didn't know about the car situation, man. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Next time we see each other, I'll show you my scar. It goes from the bottom of my rib cage to just right above my belt line. So it's pretty crazy.
Mm, damn. All right, man. Absolutely. Thank you for again sharing these
Yeah,
resources. Um, I uh too, I definitely want to just kind of say my piece on the
yeah, please.
uh what happened this week is also close to kind of close hits close to home for me as well. Because I did lose my dad in a similar situation.
Mm,
So I am very happy to see how fast they were able to react and to not let this young man suffer the same fate. So
Hmm.
definitely having that knowledge is definitely good to have. No matter where you are and who you are, it's good to be able to contribute in one of these ways if you can.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, thank
yeah,
you for sharing your
on
story too. Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
But yeah, did you want to let them know where to find you?
Twitter at Chef Doobles on me there. Holler at me about anything. Always happy to talk about sports mostly, but hey, I'm about to start tweeting about things happening in politics because if anyone doesn't know what's going on, go read about what's happening in the Speaker of the House election right now. It is
Yeah, that's what I'm.
comedy right now. My
Somebody said he's got more L's than the Chiefs or
the
like
Chiefs
any
this
other.
year. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
that's funny.
about to start tweeting that out. So yeah, please follow me there and respond to what I say. And how about you? What do you got?
Yeah, Twitter, Instagram. Did you give him your Twitter name?
Oh, yeah, at Chef. If I didn't, it's at Chef Doobles, CHEFDOOBLES. Yeah, yeah. No, wouldn't that be great? It's like somebody finally decides to go find me on there, and I just totally forgot to say it. So there it is,
Yeah,
CHEFDOOBLES.
absolutely. And then you can find me at the Almighty Raw on Twitter and Instagram. And you can find our show's Twitter at SOT Kingdom KC. Please follow our Discord, follow us on YouTube, State of the Kingdom. And yeah, come talk to us about Chiefs, seeding, share your stories of anything really. We talk about a lot of broad variety of things. So yeah, hopefully we are excited to get into this next week, this final week of the regular season, and definitely will be eager to come back to talk to y'all about the upcoming playoffs the following week. So
Man,
until then,
next
yeah,
week we
go ahead.
got Black Monday to talk about, where all the head coaches are going to get fired. We got the
Yeah, man.
Raiders game to talk about. We got playoffs. It's going to be a great podcast.
Yeah, it's all coming to a head. This is why we do this, y'all. It's why we play the game.
That's
No,
why
I'm
we
just
play
playing.
the game.
But yeah,
Oh
man.
man! All
Yeah,
right,
let's root for a Chiefs win, everybody. It'll be uh great Saturday of football. Not Sunday, but Saturday of football.
Saturday.
But yeah. But
Love
yeah.
that. All right,
Y'all
go
have a great
Chiefs.
week and go Chiefs.